Are you feeling tired, weak, disappointed because you're always sore, your joints ache? Yeah, been there many times. Still do sometimes, okay? And you're trying hard, you're training hard, but you just lose motivation. Yeah, that's very normal actually. So I've been weight training for 14 years. I've been doing martial arts for 5, and these things are much more common than you think. Getting sick, getting injured, and yeah, sure, sometimes it's out of your control, but more often than not, you'd be surprised you can control these things. I struggled a lot with getting sick and getting injured. Let me tell you a very simple story. So, about 10 years ago, the big thing was progressive overload and increasing volume, right? The amount of weights, sets, and reps you do in the gym, for those of y'all who don't know. And this still stays today. These two phenomena, you shouldn't change. It's still factually correct at the moment. So the more tonnage you lift in the gym, the more likely you're going to grow muscles, or you're basically going to grow, assuming you eat well and sleep well. Um, However, remember a lot of these influencers used to say no pain, no gain. And the more you do, the better. You got to push through everything, even when it hurts. Yeah, well, I stuck with that advice for quite a few years. And anytime I couldn't get through a workout, I would think, oh, that's my problem. It's my fault. It's not anything else. It's not the programming. It might not be my sleep or diet. It's just I'm too weak. And obviously, at the time, we didn't do much individualized programming. Often we would follow what other influencers would do. So they would come out with a program and say, hey, this is the program. You should do it. This is how I made all my gains, which may or may not be wrong. But there's a reason why individualized programming is so important. And at some point during my channel, I'm going to teach y'all how you can tailor your own programming to make sure that it's individualized for you. Okay. Obviously, key principles stand, and everyone should be aiming to touch upon those principles to make sure you progress. But you should be able to program for yourself. That's the advanced level, or the level in which you will make sure that you can make gains for the rest of your life. Uh, Going through sickness and injury, yeah, that's not very fun. And what's weird is I thought more is better. So, which is what we were told. And I would keep pushing through it. And when I did more, I was like, why am I regressing? Yeah, there were many years where, or months on end, where I would actually stall or regress and wonder what's going on. I'm doing everything though. I'm training as hard as these guys are, what I thought I was doing. I'm sure some people might disagree or agree, but if you look at my old sets, I was pushing close to failure, and if not to failure. I love training like that. I've always have, but I was just doing so many sets that I couldn't recover, and I would just feel so tired. On top of that, I didn't deload. Obviously, when we were younger, we just wanted to push through, and we always thought more is better, more is better. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, your body is very good at telling you to chill out, to relax. So now, when I know my joints are starting to flare up, or I'm starting to find that my numbers aren't going up after 2 or 3 sessions, it's about time to deload. And for those of you who don't know what a deload is, you just take not a week off, but you do a week of lower volume and lower intensity work, either or. And that's going to allow you to allow your fatigue to dissipate. So then you can, what we call, super compensate and improve your performance in the gym. So currently, with my protocol, I train for 3 weeks and then I take 1 week off for a deload. And that's worked very well for me. I like to deload frequently. Some people don't. And I definitely get people going, how do you deload? Why do you deload so often? It's worked for me, and it might work for you too. Some people don't like to deload and don't need to deload as frequently. It's personal. And that's why it's really important to understand key principles, so then you're able to make an informed decision to decide what works well for you, and not just listen to some random person tell you, hey, you should do it like this because it worked for me. That's purely anecdotal. Okay. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, but try and understand things better, so then you don't end up being more susceptible to other people's opinions and falling for it. Okay. Um, Aside from progressive overload and volume as well, I want to touch on one thing too. Soreness. Okay. So a lot of people, and I still get this question a lot, clients going, oh, why am I not sore the next day though? If I'm not sore, does that mean I'm not progressing? Firstly, let's say hypothetically you keep getting sore and your numbers are going up. that's progressive overload. You're increasing the amount of weight you lift. So therefore, you are progressing. And what if the same thing occurs, but you're not sore? You should still be progressing. You absolutely will be. Uh, Soreness does not equate to growth. It's that simple. And there are three key principles to hypertrophy that drive hypertrophy: mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. Muscle damage tends to refer to that soreness you get after workouts the next day or 2 days later. Metabolic stress is usually that pump. You know, a lot of people talk about getting a pump during your workout, which feels really good, and I love it. But these two are still rather unfounded, and some research even documents that they don't lead to any sort of growth, muscular growth. Mechanical tension is the key. It's the one you want because there's plenty of research to show that this is what leads to hypertrophic gains, so building muscle. All you simply need to know when it comes to mechanical tension is that the closer you get to failure, the more you stimulate that, okay? It's pretty much that simple. So you look at any sort of natural lifter who's really strong and they train really hard and get to failure, chances are they're pretty big themselves, okay? Steroids aside, because steroids is the great equalizer. You can really grow from doing more and more steroids with terrible training. So let's not talk about that for now. And this is by no means me, you know, putting people who are on steroids down. That's not what I'm saying. It's a complete different ball game. So I'm pretty sure most of my followers are natural lifters. So we're talking about that. And it's making sure that you get close to failure. Now, I used to do that a lot, so I didn't know why I wasn't really progressing at a certain point. And what I realized is that I was just doing too much. When you're pushing very close to failure, you don't want to do that many sets, okay? You really only need about, I'm doing 8 sets per week. 8 to 12 per body part is a good range already. You know, if you push a set close to failure, honestly, you can probably only do about 3 or 4 in one given session per body part, and you should already be feeling exhausted to the point where everything else is meaningless. All that junk volume, meaningless. Um, so yeah, the truth is, you just got to be consistent. You got to make sure you progressively overload, and the main thing is trying to enjoy the process too. I loved lifting. I've always have, and even after 14 years, I still do. Now, that's not an easy feat. For some people, it really is very difficult, and exercise is hard. But I want to make it as easy as possible for y'all. So stay tuned. Um, and for some of y'all who are struggling to get into the gym today or the next couple of days, you got this. I'm here. We're here. We're all here to be supportive of each other. So get your ass in the gym, and let's make some gains together. Okay.